statement, then we'll open up for some questions.
How's everybody?
Pretty good.
Morning.
Cold enough for you.
Come on now. Yeah, I mean, you had to ask that, right? I'll tell you, this morning when that wind chill was at 5 degrees, that's not normal for me at this time of year. So, but yeah, it's good. Looks like the sun's coming out and snow's starting to melt a little bit, so we'll get some good work in. Big week for us coming off the bye week. Excited to get back on the practice field with them today. Obviously today being Veterans Day, want to say thank you to all those veterans out there that have sacrificed and done so much, them and their families both. This is a special day for us, and we want to make sure that we honor those men and women that have done so much for our country. So we get to play this game because of the sacrifices that they made and continue to make throughout our military forces. So thank you for them. As we look at this week, we got coming off the bye week, hopefully got a couple of guys back as far as getting healthier. You're not ever going to be 100%, but we're trying to get back as close as we can. We got a very talented team we're fixing to go play in Florida State. In all three phases, really. They're long, they're athletic, they got great team speed. We know it's going to be a challenge, but I know our guys are excited about that. Going on the road, going down to their place, it's going to be a great atmosphere. I know our guys will be ready to play. The way we've approached every week, it all starts with our practice today and putting good days on top of good days and building those up till we get to game time. So excited about the opportunity, excited to get back on the practice field with our guys today, and ready to go back to work.
Questions for Coach?
You have the second off week here. Does this just kind of allow you to refocus here and say, here's the stretch run. You got 3 weeks left to do something this season?
Yeah, that's kind of the way we broke it up, actually, after the first bye week. It was like, hey, here's our first one. We needed it. It'd been a long season up to that point before we ever got one. And so kind of took that mindset, hey, let's get a good, solid mindset on the next 2 weeks. Then we're going to hit another bye week, and then we got 3 weeks after that. And so we broke it up in that way. I think our guys have kind of locked into that point. And, we got a really unbelievable 3-game stretch right here in front of us. And we got a chance, we're still writing this story of what it's going to be. And so for the next 3 weeks, we get to continue to do that and try to write the ending that we want.
David.
How pleased are you with the progression of some of these players? The injury list got shrunk from where it was the first open week to the second one. Do you expect that list to get shorter as you head into this week?
Yeah, we got a few that I think we potentially can get back. I think most everybody on that list at this point. You got some of those guys that it's going to be tough to get them back. You've got other guys that have the potential of getting back. So we'll learn more today in the next couple of days as we lean towards game time. But, overall, it's trying to get us as healthy as we can be. Everybody's playing hurt right now. Everybody's got bumps and bruises. And those guys getting the opportunity to rest not only their bodies, but, their mind and their spirit and really trying to get that in the way we need it to be for this last 3 games.
Ryan.
Coach, Florida State, one of the best teams at throwing the ball downfield. I think Castellanos is top in the league in average yards per completion and attempt. How do you try and slow down that aggressive vertical passing game? Yeah,
we got to do a great job of understanding, when those shots are taken, how can we get him off his spot, create some pressure to him. Don't want to obviously let him outside of the pocket because he does have some really explosive type scrambling plays within that. And so you got to do a good job of moving him off the spot, and then you got to do a good job of creating hurry situations for him. And then from, the vertical passing game part of it, you got to do a great job of creating negative timing for them, right? Letting those guys just free release and be able to run. We got to do a great job of understanding how we got to fit things, how we can put things on the roof to try to keep that under wraps, because the explosive plays are the ones that really bite you, and we got to do a good job of making them drive the length of the field.
There are a bunch of these
these defensive players who have seen him before when he was at Boston College the last couple of years.
Mhm.
Does that help, just the familiarity when you're playing a guy like that and they've had success against him before?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anytime you get to play against a guy multiple different times, you get a better feeling of what he does, who he is, what his tendencies are. To your point, I think our guys are familiar with him, and so I think that will give us some advantage in the sense of it's not just some brand new quarterback that you're seeing for the first time.
I know we asked you a little bit about Gus Malzahn and his offense last week. Do you feel like part of the same fraternity as him, coaching fraternity, whereas the high school guys who've gone on to have college success since then? Do you ever look at it like that?
I guess from the starting in the high school ranks and working our way through, there is that fraternity of it. We're all from different branches and different people, and we run different things. But from that side of it, there's a handful of guys out there that have done it that way, and I'm pretty proud of starting in the high school ranks. I think it helped me as a coach. I think it developed me more, and gave me the opportunity to be who I am now. And so I look back on those days with a lot of, pride and joy about them, and enjoyed my time doing it, and obviously love what I'm doing now. But it was what kind of helped me become who I am today.
You guys are both, it seemed like, sort of on the forefront of that tempo movement
Yeah.
back in the day, both had part of that offense. Is it interesting to see how those things kind of come into college football and become fashionable, and the defenses kind of catch up, and it kind of ebbs and flows like that?
And I think that's just about with everything, right? I mean, if you think back to those early days when Yeoman and Royal and all those guys were running all the veer stuff, and when that first came in, everybody was clicking and everybody tried to run it, and then finally, defenses kind of caught up to it, and everybody had to kind of change and move a little bit. Same thing with, whether you're in the I formation and you're doing it that way, or you're sitting here in some type of tempo version of stuff. Everything's going to have flows and edges to it. The biggest thing that you want to try to do is stay on the forefront of whatever the next thing is going to be, and how you use that, and how some of the things that you've already established as kind of part of your identity, are those things, continue to use them, but then you got to continue to keep evolving and finding the next thing that really can maybe set you apart in a way, offensively or defensively, as you continue to grow.
Phil, Florida State was averaging, I think, 336 rushing yards a game in the first 4 weeks, and they haven't topped 170 in the last 5. What have you noticed in terms of how defenses are defending them now in the run game and limiting what they're able to do in that area?
I think guys just getting an idea of getting their eyes in the right spot, not chasing ghosts, getting things fitted up a little bit better. Obviously, as you look at their schedule, some of those opponents got a little bit tougher, and so they started facing some different defenses in that. We've got to do a good job with our guys of creating some mismatches up front that we can take advantage of, creating penetration when we can, but making sure that we're fitting things right. And then when you get the opportunity to get your hands on them, man, you got to get them on the ground. We got to make great tackles. We got to get multiple hats to the football. We got to be physical. We got to be aggressive, and we got to do a good job of trying to get them behind the chains.
The last 2 weeks, I know the Wake Forest game doesn't seem like they would get a lot of TFLs, but Wake Forest had 10 TFLs. Clemson had 6 sacks last week. Is there something in terms of how you guys can disguise things on the back end that you can create some havoc in the backfield?
Well, that's the hope. I mean, Sam and those guys have done a good job of creating opportunities for that. We've got some exotic blitz packages that they're going to have to adjust to as well, and Sam and them have done a good job with that. And so we've got to continue to keep evolving in that way, finding different ways to use our talents and our strengths to try to disrupt what they do. And so if we can do that, it always gives us a huge advantage.
On left field, is there been any change to Donovan Green's status with the team?
Not at this point. I mean, everything's still good. So
He hasn't had a catch in 3 weeks. He was obviously a big part of this offense early in the season. What can you guys do to maybe get him going or get the ball in his direction?
Anytime that you're dealing with receivers in the passing game and all of that, you're always trying to find those guys' touches and find opportunities for those guys to go be explosives and make plays. You know, we're still evolving as an offense, and you know, as you look at who we're playing and what their strengths and weaknesses are, and trying to manufacture ways that our team has a opportunity to go be successful, right? And so whether that's what we do offensively, defensively, or in special teams, we want to make sure when we game plan this whole thing up, we as a team are giving ourselves the opportunity to go win. And so I think those guys have done a tremendous job of putting all the selfishness part of it to the side and saying, whatever we got to do to give ourselves a chance to go win, that's what we want to do, because we're going to win this thing as a team, and it's going to take all of us to go get that done. So I appreciate those receivers and other guys throughout the program that have made sacrifices to give us the opportunity to go win. And when they have opportunities to go make plays, those guys have stepped up and made them. So we got to continue to keep giving them those opportunities. Love to be more balanced in what we do. And we'll see how that plays itself out over the next 3 weeks.
Let's go David, Colby, and then we'll go to Zoom.
We're talking to Jarikas here in a little bit. What's impressed you the most in your time here about just his consistent growth and how he's kind of stepped up with the opportunities he's had?
Yeah, I think you probably hit the nail on the head right there. His consistent growth, right? Like he is, every day he's been in the film room, he's been in the weight room, he's been on the practice field working, and he's not making those same mistakes over and over and over. He's learning from his mistakes. He's putting those in his memory bank. He's growing as a player. He continues to make plays throughout games, whether that's in the block scheme parts of it or in the passing game parts of it. And so we've been really, really pleased with how he's grown, what he's done, and really what his future as a player is going to be, because I think he's got a tremendous future ahead of him.
All right, we'll go to Zoom for a couple.
On Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to ask questions for Coach Montgomery, and we'll open it to questions. We'll start with Steve, please.
Phil, the Florida State's defense, as you've looked at them here this past week and a half or so, is there one unit or a player there that you've seen that's sticking out, that's showing some improvement there from maybe films that you saw from a month ago till more recently?
Yeah, I mean, as you look at their defense as a whole, they do a really good job schematically. I mean, from the standpoint, they're going to play four-man front, they're going to play odd front, they're going to make you prepare for that. They're also going to get in the bear, and they're going to make you prepare for all of that. They got a bunch of different blitzes that they can bring. They can be really exotic with it. You look at their down linemen, you know, they're all long, athletic, physical. We got to do a good job of being able to create double teams, find movement, get on edges, be able to play and get movement that way, and give our backs an opportunity to be able to play downhill. You know, their linebackers are aggressive, they're athletic, they do a great job in the passing part of it. You look at Little, number 0, you know, they use him in a lot of different ways, whether he's playing the nickel or he's playing the true nickel safety in the middle of the field. You know, so many different times it's hard to kind of target him from a block standpoint. So he's able to come down into the box, create some opportunities for them to get tackles. He's a really good tackler. He's physical in the way he does it. They all fly around and play with a great motor. You look at the two corners, I think both of them are really nice players. I mean, they play a field in a boundary type look. They're athletic. They got great quickness. I mean, obviously, they're a good unit. And so we're going to have our hands full, but we got to do a good job of leaning on what we do well, trying to put them in awkward situations and make them play disciplined football.
Okay. And one other thing, then, on Kyron there, after from the Cal game to the Louisville game, did you see something that limited him, that Louisville did, that kind of cut back on his effectiveness compared to where he was at against Cal?
Well, I think every defense presents different problems, right? And so, you know, obviously against Cal, we felt like we had an advantage with him on some of the outskirt stuff as far as him running, being able to affect the run game. You know, we utilized that, especially in the second half. Obviously, Louisville's watching the same tape, and so they're going to make adjustments, and they're going to try to limit some of the exposure that he can get. And so, you know, as you take away one thing or you try to limit one thing, you open up something else. And so we got to continue to play that cat and mouse game with them and find out, exactly how they want to try to defend him and try to defend what we do. And then we try to make those adjustments as we move forward.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any final questions for Coach Montgomery on Zoom? Okay, Travis.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Y'all stay warm.
recharged here for this stretch run of 3 games you have in November?
Can you ask that one more time?
Are you
Sorry.
guys recharged as a team here for the stretch run that you have?
Absolutely. I've talked to a couple of the guys since we've been back, and everybody seems like they got away, and bodies are feeling good and ready to go.
Damien?
How would you evaluate how your season has gone, going from, I think, entering the season number 3 on the depth chart behind Benji and Harry to being the number 2 guy and being tied for the team lead in touchdowns?
First, I want to give glory to God. Wouldn't be here without him. But the season has gone well for me. It's come with a lot of hard work and consistency. And I've talked to Coach, and that was one thing that we talked about before even going into fall camp, was that I just needed to be more consistent.
Your background as a quarterback, how much did that help in moving to a new position, because you know the nuances of the offense and, I guess, also learning how to block at the same time, all those things that go into being a tight end?
Absolutely. I would say it helped with my route running, just kind of knowing where Katie would like me to be to get an easier ball thrown. But as far as the blocking, that was definitely very new to me. Took some while to learn how to do that, and we've been growing at it ever since.
What's kind of the group's mindset coming off of this open week, where you guys have kind of three game run here?
Some of the guys I've talked to, we're like, hey, let's go win these 3 games and get us a bowl game and show everybody that, life comes with challenges, but it's all about what you do with them. All challenges have greater meaning behind them, and we're just all trying to figure out what this challenge meant for everybody in the locker room.
What would that mean to this team, to you? I mean, you guys have faced so much adversity this year. What would it mean to kind of end the season on a high note?
It would mean a lot. We have seniors and guys that are getting ready to enter drafts and pro days and combines, and getting that extra film for those guys. The extra game, instead of us playing 12 games, playing that 13th game would mean a lot, and getting those guys extra evaluation for their next big step.
Right.
What have you seen out of Florida State's defense, and how your group, the tight end group, can have success on Saturday?
Absolutely. I think we could definitely get our hands on their ends. Their ends play a little higher. We stress pad level, so I think that'll be important for us, is to get under their pads and get movement, help our O-line get movement on those front 4.
You might have answered this in previous interviews. What was sort of your path to Virginia Tech in the recruiting process? How'd that whole thing play out?
So originally, Virginia Tech was just always a dream school for me. Growing up through recruiting, started talking to coaches about the beginning of junior year. Everybody was kind of telling me, hey, we think you'll outgrow the quarterback position. We don't want you to move tight end. Unfortunately, I didn't have the resources to do that at my school, so I had to play quarterback. Not many people wanted to take a chance on me. I had a couple of small D2 offers. I had a HBCU offer from Howard. I had Army and Navy. But I took a shot on myself as a PWO here. This PWO offer meant more than any other PWO offer, because they actually came and sat down and explained to me what a PWO offer was. They just didn't send it through an email or text on Twitter like, hey, all we can do for you is offer you a PWO. They actually came to my school and sat down with me, and that's when I knew this would be a great place for me to be.
Was that all prize staff, or was that some Fuente before? I forget exactly when your final years of high school were.
Yes, sir. So that was all prize staff. I had talked to Coach Quinn, Coach Bowen, Coach Rudolph, and Coach Holt.
And you didn't want to go the military route? Was that as a tight end at Army and Navy too, or were they looking at different spots?
They were looking at me as a quarterback, that old the triple option, and at first I gave it some thought, but then closer to time to commit, they told me 99% of their guys go through prep school, which would be in Rhode Island, for 6 months, and I just didn't want to take that route. I wanted to play ball.
Do you ever miss playing quarterback?
From time to time. You know, I actually, Benji makes fun of me because every time I pick up a ball and toss it around with a couple guys on the team, he's like, "Oh man, you must miss it, huh?" And I just kind of laugh it off.
You still got the arm though. I mean, if like you got a pitch or something like that, you're like, oh, I can do something with this.
Absolutely. If we put in a trick play, I can still throw it.
What were those first moments like moving to tight end? That's a brand new position to you. You've obviously been the guy taking the snaps the whole time. And how green were you at that position when you first got there?
Man, it was very new. Coming in, you know, having to try to block guys like Keyshawn Burgos and APR and you know, Cole Nelson. But then you had the aspect of I was still able to use my athleticism in the route game to where, you know, I might have a linebacker get matched up against me that, you know, I could make a certain move and get open. So it was all very new, but the blocking was probably the newest thing just because that's more of technique than athleticism.
You say going up against APR, was there ever a moment where you're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this against a guy like this?
So my second rep ever as a collegiate athlete, I am going up against APR. I just get thrown in for a rep in fall camp, and he actually hit a spin move on me that spun me around. So like when he spun, I spun, and I just basically watched him. What would have been a sack on KD if we were in a real game.
Dan.
You mentioned prep school was out of the question for you. When Kamari got here, did you go up to him and like, so what was that prep school experience like that I missed out on?
You know, I didn't even ask him that. I just asked him, you know, how was the whole process? How was the experience? You know, and I didn't even think to ask him about the whole prep school process because mine was more so for Navy. I had late contact with Army, late in recruiting, so I didn't really talk to them as much as Navy.
So being recruited by Navy, was it kind of cool to go up to the Military Bowl in 23 and get to play in that facility?
It was actually, you know, just seeing where I possibly could have been instead of, you know, taking a shot on myself and believing in my God and Him putting me where I needed to be.
Do you have any family members who are in the military?
I had an uncle that served in the Navy, and then I have a cousin that served in the Navy as well.
So what does a day like this mean for you, Veterans Day?
It means a lot, you know, just knowing that there's people out there willing to sacrifice their lives. You know, they don't have easy jobs at all. So just knowing that there's people out there willing to give up a normal life to make sure that we're free and we're getting to do things that we want to do, such as play football.
You mentioned your route running was kind of there to begin with once you moved to tight end. When KD, I'm thinking about the Georgia Tech game, their tight red zone, fourth down, he flips it to you. It looks like kind of a improvised play for the touchdown. Is that something where backyard football, because you've been in that quarterback position before, you kind of, okay, I know what he's thinking, I need to get to this spot?
Absolutely. It just all turns into a matter of, okay, get open and help my quarterback, you know, limit as much hitting on him as possible. So instead of having him tuck it down and try to get, I think it was 2 yards, you know, I can just slip behind the guy and let him throw it over top.
We'll go David and then Zoom.
You've got 3 touchdown passes this year. I mean, you talked about how Virginia Tech was your dream school. You ever kind of pinch yourself, you know, now you're catching touchdown passes at Virginia Tech. I mean, what's that like for you?
Absolutely. It's still surreal. I text my parents from time to time, and I just ask them, like, hey, man, like, you know, I know we always talked about going to school because I never really talked about, you know, playing D1 football with my parents. It was always like, hey, you're going to go to school. Like, you know, if football doesn't last you through middle school, you're going to go to college after. So sometimes I just text them and be like, hey, man, like, you know, it's kind of crazy that I'm scoring touchdowns in college now. You know, it was all a dream, and for it to start to unfold is truly an amazing feeling.
Let's go to Zoom for a couple.
On Zoom, we'll take a couple questions for Jay Rikas Hairston. We'll start with Steve, please.
Because you weren't able, you did you make the trip to Florida State the last time they played?
I did not.
Okay, so, say being from where you're from and following Virginia Tech for as long as you have, games like Florida State, Miami last year, getting to go to those places and play there. How important is having that opportunity? Because that had to be something that appealed to you when you were looking at Virginia Tech growing up.
It's amazing to have the opportunity to definitely travel and go to these different stadiums, see what they have to offer, what their fans are like, but nothing beats home. Nothing. We've played nowhere that beats Virginia Tech's fans, and that's definitely why it's always been a dream school for me.
Okay, and then just following that with that game at Miami last year, all the emotion and everything that was in that, and the comebacks and the back and forth and that. How did that how did that kind of resolve you guys after that, as far as the rest of the season went and being able to bounce back from that?
Could you ask that question one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure. The Miami game, with all the emotion that you guys had and the way that it ended and everything, how much resolve did you guys have after that and be able to come back and have the kind of season that you had following that?
Guys just knew we had to clean up small details that kept us from outright winning that game instead of throwing that Hail Mary pass at the end.
All right. Thank you.
Any final questions for Jay Ricas on Zoom? Okay, Travis.
I will finish with Andy.
You were put on scholarship at some point, right?
Yes, sir.
What was that moment like, working up from a PWO to actually get the scholarship in hand?
So I was actually put on scholarship during the Duke's Mayo Bowl. It was amazing. Just last year I had played special teams all year. Just earning my stripes, doing whatever I can to help the team win. And at the end of, I think it was the practice before the last practice, preparing for the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Coach Pryor called my parents down, and then he told us that I would be getting put on scholarship, and that was an amazing feeling. Definitely felt like I was lifting some stress off my parents, as, not only were they paying for a house mortgage, but they were also paying for my rent and tuition and things like that. So,
What is the Hairston family following to games? It feels like you always have a lot of people that are at games. It's an easy drive to get up to it.
absolutely, I have a little bit of family everywhere, but my dad's a truck driver, so if it's in driving distance, they're packing up the car, leaving just about the same time we are, if not before, and beating us there. If it's like we played in Stanford last year, I have family in California. My parents, they hopped on a flight. My uncle, he hopped on a flight. So having that support system has always been great. Just knowing that, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I'm playing for the man above, and I'm also playing for my parents as they're doing anything to make sure I'm good.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
All right, guys, questions for Jaden? Go ahead, Andy.
You guys have had a couple off weeks the last 3 or 4 weeks here. You guys feel recharged for this stretch run here?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely just had some time to just reset. What Coach Monty said, just being able to get away, reset. Everyone that had little nicks or bruises, be able to get their body just back in 100%. So, bye weeks, they're definitely a necessity, especially in college football. The way your bodies be feeling mid season. So, it was definitely what we needed, and I think the team's nice and fueled up, and we got some of the injuries cleaned up out of there.
Jaden, it's a different team, but Thomas Castellanos is someone you guys have faced each of the last 2 years. What can you take away from playing him at BC for the last 2 years that you understand what he brings to an offense.
Yeah. I mean, he's a dynamic athlete. He's a great quarterback. He's a great player. So I mean, whenever you're playing against guys like that, you always have to be ready for tricks and make sure you're accounting for the run, make sure you're accounting for the pass. So just making sure that you know where what he's doing and what their tendencies are on first, second, third down. You gotta just be careful. He's a dangerous player whenever he gets hot. So you just gotta try to keep him bottled up, try to keep him contained. And I think if we do that as a defense, we'll be good.
Are there any similarities or differences that Florida State uses him in versus how BC used him?
I mean, for sure. I mean, whenever you have a dynamic athlete at quarterback, you can opens up a lot more in the playbook. You can, whenever you have to worry about that quarterback as well as running it with the running backs, and then the pass game, obviously, whenever you have to deal with all three, it's usually a challenge. So you definitely have to be more attention to detail, more focused on just that aspect. On he could pull the ball and run it. So just being aware of his decisions and what he likes to do on certain times and certain situations, we'll be fine.
We were just talking to Jarikas. He was telling us about the moment he got put on scholarship down in Charlotte. You've known him, obviously, probably since he joined the program. What can you say about that moment and just kind of his career as a whole at Virginia Tech?
Oh, yeah, it's huge, man. I remember whenever he came in, it's kind of crazy being an older guy now, but, just whenever he came in, he was just always a guy that just, kept his head down, didn't talk a lot, didn't just all he did was work. And, whenever you're an older guy, you find notice of that. You kind of notice those type of things. And I knew he was going to be a great player just by his work ethic. And he's very humble. He's a very humble kid. Just coming from where he came from, he's just a humble kid, that the sky's the limit for him, really, and I'm excited that he got put on scholarship. That was huge. I love whenever that happens all over the country. I love when the coaches put players on scholarships. It's like the best videos to watch. But yeah, I think his future and his ceiling is huge, and he has a bunch of potential, and he's going to be a great player for sure.
What have you seen from his blocking ability?
Yeah.
He's kind of paved the way for Cairo, a couple touchdown runs, but he's a guy who played quarterback in high school.
Yeah.
He's not naturally a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the more athletic guys, I'd say, that we have on offense. So just being able to use him in the blocking in the pass game, he's pretty much an all-around tight end. It's exciting to see him grow this year, especially the jump that he made from last year to this year. And I'm excited to see it keep going in these next 3 games and then in the future in his next coming years. So I'm excited to see how he's going to even more develop into a better player.
Dave.
Jaden, how scary was that injury that you suffered? I think late first half against Wake Forest.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that serious. Just being able to, we have a good staff here, so I was walked through a great procedures, a great rehab process. Just being able to get back and have faith, and my team had faith in me. So I mean, it wasn't that scary. Whenever you have the training staff we have, the strength staff that we have, I knew I was in the right hands. I knew that I'd be back just fine.
If I remember correctly, you still played in the second half of that game and then missed the following week.
Yeah.
So it was something where rest helped you out a good bit?
For sure, yeah. That bye week leading into Georgia Tech was definitely a crucial week for me. Just living in the training room, living in the rehab room. I tried to see if I could make it out there for the Georgia Tech week, but unfortunately I wasn't. But that week was still very beneficial for me, so I wasn't able to play, but I did get a lot better on that week and get my mobility back for sure.
I think this is the first time we've talked to you during the season. How, for your senior year, how weird has this season been? How things have started, coaching change, and just everything that's gone on throughout this season?
Yeah, it's been super weird. I mean, no one expected this type of season, but I still wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. The guys that I've met here, the coaches that have coached me, and the guys that I've been blessed around to be with. I know it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's a lifestyle I would never change, and I would do it 100 times again. So, just being here around such guys that just love what they do, love their job. Everyone in the staff just out here loves their job. So just being around those type of people, it's kind of hard to come in here, work, and be all down and everything, because you still have some guys that are just so here that are just ready to work and learn. So I try to give as much as I can back to the team and to the support staff that may not give them as much recognition or anything. But yeah, it was definitely a different adjustment. But I'm still happy. God puts us in these circumstances for a reason. I have full trust in that, and I know I'm going to get better from it for sure.
Anything else for Jay? All right, Dave.
I wanted to ask you about KG and his leadership throughout this whole process. How valuable has he been in being that vocal leader, especially after the ODU game and throughout the season?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of the heartbeats of our defense for sure. Not even just our defense, the whole team aspect, and just having a guy like KG who is going to give out 100%, and is going to have your back through thick and thin. Those are what get you through times like this. So just being able to have him as a vocal leader, and we have so many vocal leaders on this team that. Last year we had a couple of leaders, but now we just have leaders in every single position room. So just being able to have, you look to your left and right, you see guys that have leader capability, leader potential. So just having guys like Katie are crucial to, having a team, and they're really what you need for sure.
Your journey here at Virginia Tech, you've changed positions multiple times. You've, I believe, been part of 2 different coaching staffs, 4 different head coaches, if you consider the 2 interim coaches.
Yeah.
How would you assess your journey here at Virginia Tech, and how do you want to finish things out?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a different journey than anyone else in the country for sure. Like you said, 3 defenses, 3 defensive coordinators, 3 linebacker coaches. So, I mean, it's definitely a journey, I don't think God would have given me this challenge if I wasn't capable of prevailing through it. So, I mean, I think everything I've had, everything that's happened here has been a lesson. There's not really losses, but you're looking at them as lessons, and just being able to take as much information from each coach. So I've honestly been blessed with 3 great coaches and 3 different staff members that each have taught me different things about the game that are separately. So just having all 3, coaches, all the DCs, all strength staff, I've learned so much from so many professional individuals that I feel like I can go and translate that, and it'll prove me well.
That's good. Thanks, Jay.